Hello. Apparently we're live. Just lining up my windows, as is my wont. Hello, Luke and Brett. Good to see people coming in nice and promptly on a fabulous Thursday night. Aussie Gun Bunny, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Things have been okay here. Just, you know, cruising on down life's highway. And hello, Miss Foxification. Good to see you as well. Yes, it's all pretty bloody cold everywhere. Like, oh my God, yesterday in particular was by far the coldest day we had since last winter. Like after early and mid-May being stupidly warm, making you think of global warming, then we get reminder, it is pretty much the start of winter. It's cold. And hello, David and Charlie and Tendai. Is it Gun Bunny sleep apnea? Well, that's a bit of fun, isn't it? Are they going to give you some weird thing to wear on your nose? That's a weird thing. Justin, freezing in Canberra. I think it depends where you are. I think it might have been the coldest May day in a long time. It turned really suddenly. We went from 2 weeks of it basically being 20 Celsius and above to, hey, let's have a maximum of about 12 Celsius. And I think a lot of places hit freezing overnight. You had a CPAP machine, yes. I kind of think I forget when, if I try and sleep on my back, which is comfortable, I haven't actually been diagnosed with sleep apnea, but I think it probably counted it, because if I fall asleep on my back, it's like, Mrs. Angry is not fond of that. It wakes me up as well, so I sleep on my side and I'm fine, usually. Albie, toasted cheese season. Is there ever a time when it's not a good time for toasted cheese? That's what oh my God, Charlie, sleep paralysis. Oh, that's worse than sleep apnea. Well, psychologically, that's worse than sleep apnea. Sleep apnea can kill you, so it's physically worse. Queen Vic, hi, long-time listener, first-time poster. Well, thank you very much for both listening, watching, joining in, and for actually posting. That could be a misfortune. Being allergic to the libs could be a real problem. I can only remember one specific instance of sleep paralysis I had. I mean, I had a friend, she had it horrifically bad when she was a kid and sort of preteen and maybe young teenager. And she was from a very Orthodox Jewish family, and they actually were like saying she was possessed. They were getting people to bless her and exorcise the ghosts, because they'd just go into the bedroom because she was screaming, and she'd just be lying there with her eyes open screaming, and they didn't know why. It's because she was asleep, and she's suffering sleep paralysis. It was very, very bad. But the one time I remember having it was weird AF, and I don't know if I'd been out partying or something. I don't remember that bit. But I was in bed and I was having a dream that I was sort of, you know, one of those dreams where you're like stuck and it's very slow moving. And I could see this vaguely lit tunnel going ahead of me. It's very sort of translucent light around it. And it was very slowly going through the tunnel, and it was something about it was very scary and awful. But then part of my brain was going, this is just a bad dream. All you have to do is wake up. All you have to do is wake up and it will be fine. And it was like my brain was saying, get up out of bed and switch the light on and everything will be fine. And I just really forced myself up out of bed and walked across the room and switched the light on. And the instant I switched the light on, things went snap, and I was back in bed with this tunnel thing. And that's when I knew I hadn't got out of bed. It was still the dream. And the shock of that actually woke me up, like I'd been lying awake. And what it was I was living in Sydney at the time, and in the city, and there was a mosquito problem. I had a mosquito net on my bed, and also a street light outside my bedroom window was shining in. So I was sleeping and dreaming with my eyes open, and I could see the mosquito net above me, sort of twisting around. I was catching the street light, and that was the tunnel I thought I was going through. So yeah, I was then the sleep paralysis going on, and I was dreaming with my eyes open, and so what I could see was in the dream. And yeah, the whole thing of getting out of bed and walking across and switching on the light never happened. And the shock of realizing that wasn't real woke me up. And it's really the only time it's ever happened to me. But yes, we're still having a big curry powder conversation. I like curry. I probably haven't put curry powder on a cheese sandwich. I might try it. That sounds good. I like, oh, misfoxification. Yeah, the Japanese curry is quite good. We get that sometimes here. My offspring are quite fond of various Asian cuisines, but yeah, Japanese curry is quite nice. Thing I like to do with toasted cheese sandwiches, put them in the sandwich press, and some people don't even butter the outside, which I think is barbaric. But what I take it one step further, I butter the outside of the sandwich, and then I sprinkle grated Parmesan cheese, you know, just the packet stuff from the supermarket. I sprinkle grated Parmesan cheese on the outside and put that in the sandwich press, and then it forms a crust. And so it's like the cheese in the sandwich and this yummy Parmesan crust on the outside. Hello, Mimsy. Are you going to come? No, you're going to lick yourself. She's going to lick herself for a while, and then she'll probably jump up here and say hello. Yeah. Yes, that's it, Miss Foxification. The golden curry is actually in blocks rather than powders and whatnot. It's very good. Yes, Miss Foxification, the Sizzler bread was actually my inspiration for making toasted sandwiches that way. I do this thing, I think I've talked about it in videos before. In a previous workplace, I think Mimsy's coming up to say hello now. Coming up here. Sharpen your claws first, why not? I used to make sandwiches in a sandwich press. There was a like street vendor from a bakery that did really nice bread. I'd get one of their baguettes. Coming up, no, where did you go? You're going to come up here and say hello? Yes or no? Maybe? Weird cat. Thought she was going to jump up after sharpening her claws, but I'm doing yes. That's it. Come up and say hello. Just, or are you going to be difficult? Come up here. That's it. That's it. Come up and say hello. Yeesh. Yeah, so I'd get this sourdough baguette they had, and I'd have some veggies, just simple stuff like onion, capsicum, mushroom, and I'd cook them in the sandwich, because I'd put baking paper in the sandwich press, put some butter on that so the butter would melt, and then I'd basically just very lightly saute the onion, capsicum, and mushroom on that, and then take it out and then put it in a sandwich and then cook the sandwich, put some cheese in there as well. And people were treating me like I was a master chef, and I was like, there's like 3 ingredients. I'm not even doing it. I'm just sauteing it. I'm improvising with the sandwich press. Although then there was one workplace I had a fully working stovetop and an oven. And so I actually brought a little fry pan in and would fry up. I'd make this for my breakfast at work and my lunch at work, because it was just yummy and I didn't get sick of it. Just a simple sandwich with capsicum, onion, mushroom, and cheese. It was like yum. But yeah, they treated me like I was a master chef for doing something so simple. It was really weird. It's kind of like how I'm obsessed with ice, and if a workplace has a freezer, if it doesn't have a freezer, I get very miffed. But when they have a freezer, I would make sure there's ice there. If there wasn't a built-in ice tray, I'd bring in ice trays and get ice, because I like ice in my drinks. And then I'd get ice out of the freezer and put it in my drink. And people see like ice in my drink. Where'd you get ice? And I went, the freezer. I know, it was actually, well, it's a freezer, so I put an ice cube tray in there. It's frozen. No, don't go over there. That's bad. Don't. God, she's being so bad. No, she wants to go over the sink and lick dishes. There's some dishes sitting there. A very bad habit that I don't want to encourage. Oh, Albie, don't worry about the little sad fucks whose life is so empty and meaningless. They feel compelled to come in and do a dislike on my videos. Justin's having a colonoscopy. Yay. Well, we could improvise it because normally you have to take something that flushes you out. You could always, just before your colonoscopy, just have a really strong curry. That can have the same effect of just cleaning you out. I've not had a colonoscopy. AZ has them all the time, and sometimes an endoscopy. And sometimes they do them at the same time, which we call spit roasting him, which apparently the medical staff don't find as funny as we do, like going in him from both ends. Turns out medical staff don't find that as funny as we do. So well, David, your curry recipe, curried beef with apple, coconut cream, curry, chili, sultanas, and apple. How's AZ going? Not great. He had to have another brief... I talked to him today, and he's hopefully coming over on the weekend. He had to have another short, like, overnight stay in hospital. There's this shit wrong with his legs still, veins clogging up, and infections, and something went black, and they had to cut it out again. And yeah, they have said to him, you need to come to terms with the reality that somewhere down the line, this condition basically means you're going to get your leg cut off. They're saying it's essentially inevitable. He's lucky. He's actually lucky to have not had it happen already. But man, he keeps beating worst case scenarios. Because several times his worst case scenario has been being dead, and he's beaten that. And yeah, the thing with the cancerous infection he had in his jaw that was killing his teeth, that could have resulted in his jaw bone being removed, but he dodged that. Now this thing in his legs, yeah, they might have cut his leg or legs off last time he was in hospital. So he's very good at dodging worst case scenario. Big boy, Perring's been using live stream footage again. Well, it hasn't had much effect. In the past, when he's sicked his little hate mobs on me, an enormous amount of them have descended. Doesn't seem to have worked so much for him now. I don't know why he's so obsessed with me. I suspect it's sexual. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's sexual. He's got daddy issues, and that's why he fixates on me. It's like, hey, if that's your thing, sure, go for it. But yeah, his desperation is not his most endearing feature. You're right, Charlie. It is actually a love stream. Big boy had a slight typo, meaning say live stream, but I think it's oh god, it's only 10 minutes old. Shit. Oh, big boy, thank you for the tip off. God damn. Brett, we are actually having a meetup in Melbourne of YouTubers 3 weeks from tomorrow. Oh, Mimsy, stop it. She's misbehaving. Oh, Miss Foxification, that's perfect. That's perfect. A collar with an angry tag on it. I think that's what he wants. Oh, he's such a sad boy, really. I don't know what's missing and empty in his life that he has to be that obsessive, but you know, some people are just like that, I guess. really, really into obsessing over people. But c'est la vie, I guess. You know, I've never let it bother me. But yeah, he's just a tad sort of obsessive. It's like, okay, dude, it's your thing. It's your thing. It's cool. You know, whatever. Oh yeah, how good's everything? Hey, Mr. Gonzo, how are you doing? For those who don't get that, our fabulous Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has this super weird habit of saying, how good is that? How good is Australia? How good's goal? It's fucking weird. But that's the thing. It's Justin, you know, people who get up every morning to search hashtags. Yeah, I mean, there are obviously a lot of people who live for starting fights and drama and whatnot. And obviously a lot of the videos I make, I'm talking on topics that set some people off, and they would regard my videos as provocation. It's very rare that I actually target someone individually. I call out someone individually. It's a very uncommon thing to. I tend to talk about attitudes and behavior rather than and by individuals I mean individuals on social media. It's like if they're public figures, and basically I normally only do it when it's a case of public figures who I assume are never going to notice I exist, so I don't regard it as starting drama, because I assume the person I'm talking about has more important things in their life than worrying about me. I haven't always been correct on that front, which has been surprising to me. But yeah, I tend not to go for the one-on-one drama. David, what do I think of Albo? I think he's off to a shitty start, quite honestly. I mean, I've never made a secret of, oh, I didn't have all the live chat on. I didn't see that Steve guy until you pointed him out, Luke. Thanks for pointing him out, because that reminded me I didn't have live chat on, so I might have missed some chat. Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in Albo so far, because he's doing this piss week. We should be really non-confrontational. I mean, probably no secret to anyone who pays attention to things I say. I think being confrontational is the way to go. Actually standing for something, actually taking a stand, knowing that it won't appeal to everyone, but it's important to take a stand. And I know politics, you know, particularly if you're in a political party that seeks to form government, that has a realistic chance of forming government, you can't just go around picking fights all the time. But I was on record about Shorten before the election. I was pissed off at him not taking a stand on like anything virtually, just relying on the I'm not that guy strategy, which failed him. And Albo out of the gate saying all these things about, oh yeah, we don't want to alienate the people who think taking climate action is a stupid thing, and oh yeah, let's be nice to rich people too. It's like, what the fuck? Yes, that's a fair point. Dealing with the voting public must seem a bit like juggling cats while standing on your head. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, 3 years till the next election. So 3 years to see if Albo or Labor generally can generate some real support from the electorate. maybe excite the electorate, maybe invigorate the electorate, maybe inspire the electorate. Maybe my goals and aspirations are too high. You know, maybe I'm foolish for thinking such things should happen. Hey, nobody, how you doing? Luke, will Morrison stay leader for 3 years? I would assume so. Almost no matter what happens in election polls, like popularity polls, I would assume he will, assuming he wants to, I would assume he would stay Prime Minister for the whole term. The idea of them attempting to remove him, no matter what any opinion polls say, the idea of attempting to remove him would be just immensely stupid. Justin, imagine being UK PM. Jesus, that Theresa May. And those stupid people saying you should feel sorry for Theresa May because she was sad. Fuck that. She was a loser. Her policies were shit. Her policies hurt people. The fact that she's sad that she's so fucking bad at her job, I'll boo fucking who? You know, I'm going to save my concern for the people that have been hurt by her policies. I don't give a shit that she's sad that she's completely failed at her job. You do raise a good point, nobody. In retrospect, placing a big wager on the LNP to win seems like a good idea, because if they didn't win, you'd never be more happy to lose a bet. But the fact they did win, you would have made a little bit of cash. Hindsight 2020, all that sort of thing. Well, David, you're right that if, and it seems honestly fairly likely, there was a recession, it would be stupid for them to blame Labor, but they would. Gonzo, got to go. Thanks for dropping by, mate. It's good to see you. Yes, the replay will, of course, be there, but thank you for dropping by. Always good to see you. Just realised, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just looking at something on YouTube, and it wasn't making any sense to me. Trying to remember how to find something on here. I maybe have to switch to the B thing. Oh, well, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Doesn't matter all that much. So, yeah. Oh, just come out flipping. Well, he's already backed out on a tax break. So he's actually going to help New Start recipients. I don't know. Oh, yeah, Luke. Well, I know some people said like, oh, they don't watch these. If they miss the live stream, they don't rewatch that because I'm completely on board with not being as into a live stream if you're not actually in. Some people do. Some people watch it back later, and I really like that. But I certainly don't hold it against anyone who goes, I'm not into watching the live streams after the fact. I only want to be there from there. That makes sense to me. But I like that some people watch it back. But I certainly, I don't hold it against anyone who doesn't want to watch one later. That makes sense to me. What's that? Scummo renamed Human Services Department to just Services. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Screw humans, or is it the Inhuman Services? You do raise a good point, nobody. Nobody sensible would be surprised at the LNP breaking their promises. Actually, but okay, here in the one's bright spot in politics for me is the Victorian state government, who I support quite strongly. Elected and then re-elected, and basically it was like one of their key promises that was part of why they got elected is they were going to stop that stupid freeway expansion, which is going to fuck up a couple of suburbs and do no good for traffic. They said, well, you know, we'll find out people don't like it, so we'll stop it, and we'll invest in infrastructure, like we'll get rid of level crossings, and you know, we'll do the new city circle. So they get elected, and lo and behold, actually deliver on their promises. They start removing level crossings and start the other major rail infrastructure projects, and then they get re-elected with an increased majority. And I noticed after the federal election, because the federal Liberal Party is still pushing this stupid fucking motorway thing, not saying it's because they get backdoor payments from the company that makes it. I'm not saying that either. But I noticed the fucking Murdoch shit rag here after the federal election, trying to push for this fucking motorway again. And, you know, as the headline on the front page thing in big letters, just build it. I was looking at it going, really? Just because ScoMo got in federally, you think that makes sense to say to the state government, who got elected in part because they said they'd shut that down, and got re-elected in part because they kept their promises on not building this, but focusing on rail infrastructure. And you actually think that you bleating and braying, we'll say, get them to change something that was one of their core election promises they were elected and re-elected on. It's like the level of stupidity and ignorance that drives those fucking Murdoch media outlets absolutely does my head in. Absolutely. You look at them and go, do you expect this shit to happen? Do you expect this to go your way? Or you just fucking, Jesus, what the fuck? You know, are you just being assholes for the sake of being assholes? Or are you that deluded that you think what you're saying is a good idea? Oh, yes, that's it, Hurry, the East-West link. Yeah, it's a stupid fucking idea, and it was going to fuck up a couple of suburbs, and it was very unpopular. It was a key element of the Andrews government getting elected and re-elected. So the idea of saying, no, you should do that thing, the thing that you said you wouldn't do, that's the key part of you, it's just like, oh, fuck off. Music advice, Sydney media. It's not so much Sydney media as Murdoch media and conservative media outlets. But yes, you're right. There, you do get some Sydney-based outlets doing it, but it's just like this whole thing of just screeching about just build it. It's like, that is so fucking stupid that it almost defies belief. It's so fucking weird. Oh no, David, no trains or trams in Tasmania. That sucks a bit. Yeah, maybe you don't have the infrastructure for it. Luke, you seem to be having issues with transport. Are you showing me that thing? There's a self-driving bus along one of the beaches in Adelaide, I think. It's a bit wild thing. But yeah, honestly, God, I did the public transport to work today for the first time in a while. I'd forgotten how crowded it is in peak hour. You soon get over, you know, it's probably only 2 months since I was doing it every day. And because, yeah, I was changing the location where I was working today. And I was in the city because I've been working in Footscray. Yeah, it's like I'd forgotten how crowded the trains get in peak hour. And of course they're crowded, it's peak hour. But how soon we forget, because I've been driving to Footscray because it would take me an hour and a half at least to get there on public transport. And I don't want to spend 3 hours plus a day traveling to and from work. That seems a bit harsh. The drives usually between 40 and 50 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if I get stuck in shitty traffic. Like an hour is really shitty traffic. Yeah, I do like the trams, and they are more expensive because, of course, buses, all the bus just runs on the road. The tram, you have to build the tracks, and there's much more logistics to work out with putting in a tram line than just adding more buses. But I am a fan of the trams in Melbourne. Slightly spoiled because I don't live that far out of the city, and so I could travel from my place to the city either by tram or train. Actually, I think by bus as well without too much trouble, but it's actually a bit more trouble to get a bus than anything else. So look, public transport for me to get to Footscray is like either train from Caulfield and then change in the city to another train. Then when it gets to Footscray, then a bus to where I've got to go. Or I think the Elsternwick station's on the same line as Footscray. So I think I could drive down to, or get a tram down to Elsternwick. I know there's a parking station for commuters at Elsternwick station. I could drive down there, park there, get the train, which I think goes through to Footscray without having to change. Not 100% sure, but I think it does. And then get a bus to where I got to go. But yeah, it's just like pain in the ass. David, you want all the people to come to Tasmania for global warming? That's what I've said before. New Zealand would be my go-to place. Tasmania too. Tasmania is beautiful, but of course a huge influx of population would destroy all the beauty of Tasmania. So it's the same thing with New Zealand, really. A huge influx of population would destroy all the beauty of the place. Humans are like that. Humans fuck things up, as we see by looking around us. But yeah, there's no overstating how beautiful Tasmania is, whether it's the forests, the coastline is beautiful on Tasmania as well. But it's yeah, you don't want too many people. You reckon Tassie could hold oh look, obviously you're right. Tassie could easily hold 2 million people because of course you get, we've got more than 2 million people just in Melbourne and in Sydney, and you get the mega cities that have 20 million people. I always sort of lose track of what the population of the big cities is. But I know there are some cities that seem to have as many people as Australia. Yeah, okay. So I just decided to look up Tokyo, 37 million. Delhi, 25 million, Shanghai, 23 million. So the three are all about Australia's population in one city. Then Mumbai, 20 million, Beijing, 20 million, Dhaka, 17 million, Karachi, 16 million, Istanbul. So yes, the largest city. So obviously Tassie could support 2 million people, probably without that much, if you did it in a smart way, probably without too much damage to the environment. But again, humans are remarkably bad at doing things in a smart way. Misclassification, increase in Tasmania's population, people move in the burbs. It means a lot of commuting stuff. Again, the investment in infrastructure is important, but no one likes doing it, pay for stuff up front. They hide the cost down the front. Like you get all this bullshit about coal being cheaper than renewables. Well, it isn't. And the only reason you can fudge the numbers and say it is because the cost of cleaning up the shit created by coal-fired power plants isn't factored into how expensive they are. and it's ridiculous. The cost of the damage coal-fired plants do is enormous, and people just who want to advocate for coal plants just glibly ignore that. It's like, and even the only reason coal got as widespread as it did is because of massive subsidies setting up the infrastructure. I mean, the infrastructure was set up by the government, not by private enterprise. If you did the same expenditure on setting up the infrastructure for renewables, it'd be way cheaper than coal. It's just like fucking bullshit. Yeah, David, you're right. The health costs. You regularly see people going, oh, the health cost of coal-fired plants like kills thousands of people, millions of dollars in health costs. It's just like anyone who says coal is the cheapest energy is either just straight up fucking lying, and they know they're lying, or they're thick as shit and they don't understand anything about economics or actual how to calculate actual cost of things. David, what about nuclear? The mining for fuel for nuclear is incredibly destructive environmentally, and an expansion of nuclear power would make that destruction much, much worse. And I just do not believe people who try to understate the risks with nuclear power, because as long as the power is being generated for profit, the people running the power plants have an incentive to cut back on safety, and we have far too many examples of catastrophic failure of nuclear power plants. Next reason against nuclear is there is still no safe way to dispose of nuclear waste, and that little problem with the current number of nuclear power plants in the world already looks to be turning into something catastrophic. And if you increased the number of nuclear power plants in the world, the danger from the waste would just ratchet up and up and up. And of course, nuclear power plants are a target for terrorists. The fuel and waste from nuclear power plants can be used in weapons. So those are my 4 reasons that I reject nuclear as an option. Mining for the fuel is far too destructive. The risk of something going wrong is far too high. There's no safe disposal of the waste, and they're a target for terrorists. Renewables, I was about to say, I almost made the mistake of saying renewables don't have any of those problems. That would not be true. Human expansion and building and construction causes problems no matter how you do it. And of course, particularly if you were looking at increasing battery storage, which has a huge number of pluses to it, but the mining for rare earth minerals, which are central to improved battery technology, is very destructive. And there's a lot of shit in it. In fact, outright slavery in various parts of the world used mining for rare earth minerals. So nothing us humans do is without problems. I think it's important to be honest about that. But I remember whenever we talk about, basically humans existing is a problem. We cause damage, we cause problems. That's human way. But there's also, you've got to strike a balance. You've got to be a bit philosophical about it. And one phrase I've heard ages ago from this hippie anarchist punk band that I listened to back in the 80s. They were called Crass. They were actually a really good punk band. They were actual punk. They were, before they formed a band, they were actual anarchists living in a commune, as opposed to, like the Sex Pistols and everyone else who were commercial enterprises. But one of the lines Crass had in one of their things where it's talking about, it was basically saying, how do we balance wanting to exist with the destruction humans cause on the environment? And the thing is, well, you leave footprints. There is no getting away. The most peaceful existence in the world, you'd still leave footprints as you walked. You need to understand and accept you have an effect on the world. That effect can be, and almost always is, quite negative. But you need to balance. Well, I need to exist, and it would be good if my existence wasn't too destructive. But acting as if you can do something that doesn't affect the world at all is just ridiculous. Hey, Tendo, you're back. Good to see you. Yeah, any infrastructure we build for energy generation has an environmental effect. It's just a question of scale and a question of managing that. Coal is just fucked and indefensible, and it's super, super, super thing. Lucas, so will I leave Australia now? What in the ever-loving fuck is that meant to mean, you brain-dead fucking moron? What the fuck did I say that suggested I would leave Australia? How is that a contribution to any conversation, you stupid fucking cunt? Tendo, when did I get philosophy? I actually haven't been watching Philosophy Tube. I keep meaning to, because people keep relating to it. No, philosophical. That's my punk days in the 80s. That's from way back. It's a silly question, you silly person. No, you're a stupid fucking cunt who needs to pull your fucking head in. Don't try and understate the fact you just swan in, make a stupid fucking comment to be an utter cunt, and then when you call it again, what did I do? Don't be so fucking gutless, you piece of fucking shit. Jesus. There's one thing is more pathetic than a troll, is a worthless, sniveling, cowardly piece of shit who won't even stand behind their fuckery. It's so fucking typical. You don't want me to call you out for being a worthless fucking cunt. Don't be a cunt. Jesus. Fucking cowards to a person. They go around, all these fucking dipshits go around calling anyone who supports any sort of progressive cause like, oh, you're a snowflake, you can't stand anything. But the instant they're ever called on any of their bullshit, they go down in a screaming heap and play the victim card straight away. Fuck that bullshit. Don't want to be called out for being a piece of shit? Don't be a fucking piece of shit. Zero time for any of that stupid fuckery. It's just like, my God, what the fuck? I love, yeah, David saying being critical. There's a really funny comic. There's a quite good sort of topical cartoonist, an American called Matt Bors, who did a funny thing, but one that people use a lot that he did a year or two ago. It was Mr. Gotcha. It was just like people going, wow, Jesus, there's some shit we need to sort out, isn't it? You're like being on Twitter saying, wow, there's some shit we need to sort out. And jump back, oh, and I noticed you're saying that on an iPhone. Oh, hypocrite much? And it's just like, rather than having any meaningful contribution to the conversation, just coming out with this dumb bullshit. And it culminates with a medieval peasant saying, it would be good if we improved society somewhat. And Mr. Gotcha pops up out of a well and goes, oh, and yet you participate in society. Hypocrite much? It's just like such a fucking waste. That's why I will not indulge people who argue in bad faith. I do not have a problem intrinsically with people who disagree with me. Disagreements, fine. What I will not waste time on is pathetic losers who argue in bad faith and snivel like pathetic, worthless cowards the instant you call them on their bullshit. They won't even stand behind their fuckery. And it's just like, no, like when they do their obvious, barely concealed coded language that's misogynist or racist or transphobic or homophobic, which is generally bigoted, and you call them out and they go, what? You're like, you fucking cowards. Hey, Reddit Scorpion, how are you? You caught me in mid-rant. As CrossFitter said, ooh, joined at the right time. Yep, just while I was mid-rant. But yes, I have absolutely zero patience. I mean, just for people who are cowards, hypocrites. It just, hypocrisy shits me so much, so very, very much. And that's, yeah, that's the one thing I really won't tolerate. Just someone just being a hypocrite, being disingenuous, arguing in bad faith, wasting time. And it's just, do not waste my time. Do not expect me to waste time on you. It is just this absurd cowardice and hypocrisy, and it's like it's why I don't usually bother making videos attacking things. Oh, nobody, sorry, I just saw you've got company, you have to bail. Thank you for dropping by. Oh, yeah, actually perfectly summed up Miss Foxification. The one who say, oh, I'm just being objective, I'm sitting on the fence. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Fuck off, you coward. Stand for something. Stand behind something. Don't be a coward. But it's like I rarely bother making videos about those various right-wing provocateurs, because they're just fucking cowards and hypocrites. But I mean, there's such, it's tempting because there's such a rich vein of material. Like, you know, the ones who just say like, oh, facts don't care about your feelings. And then every one of their arguments is just emotional. I mean, I don't have a problem in and of itself with people's basis for, you know, supporting something being emotional. Humans are emotional things. But these fuckwits are going, facts don't care about your feelings. And all of their arguments are emotional and emotive and not supported by science. Like, and yeah, the one that really, the two, suddenly I'm becoming the Spanish Inquisition. The three things, no, two things that I really notice it stands out on is the transphobic arguments, where they assert that they're just talking about medical fact and science, and it's just like, no, dude, you're really not. You are really, really not. You are so out of touch with actual science on this topic. And the second one's race. Like, freaks like that dickhead Stefan Molyneux, who's obsessed with the completely discredited idea of IQ tests. I mean, he's one step away from phrenology with his obsession with saying that there are absolute and arbitrary differentiations between races. Like, he literally talks and says you can see a white person's brain is bigger than a black person's brain. And he, what was his other one? Oh yeah, I reckon, and it doesn't matter that he repeatedly says stupid, easily disprovable stuff that makes him look like a fool, because he never owns anything, he never accepts responsibility for it, and his idiot racist followers don't care. Like, I think for me, the pinnacle of his stupidity was the time that he claimed you couldn't have organ transplants between people of different skin color. Like, he thought that was true, and he was making this devastating fact. Oh, one person says race is a social construct, not a real thing. All right, then take this transplant from a black person. It's like, and people were, he said this on Twitter, and people were incredulous at first and said, no, wait, do you actually think that you can't get organ transplants from people whose skin color is different? Is that a thing that you think is real? And there are a whole bunch of reasons that someone's organs may not be compatible. They have to do all these different tests, and but you can't tell by skin color. You can't go, well, because that person's black and that person's white, you can't do organ transplant. That person's Asian and that person is Arabic, so you can't do it. No, that's not real. And he just asserted it as being a fact, and it just had no effect. The fact that he was completely wrong, humiliatingly wrong, and so obviously and overtly racist, didn't affect him at all. This is just bizarre. I see we're having an Ayn Rand conversation. Ayn Rand's just a shitty writer. I mean, her non-fiction writing is shitty enough, but her fiction that these fucking morons idolize, they go like, I'm going to build an ideology around this, and they think it makes sense. They go like, they talk about Atlas Shrugged, or what was the other one, The Fountainhead or whatever, and ask me why. Bering says hi. Well, if you're saying hi back to him, can you ask why? I mean, no, we know the obsession is sexual. I mean, seriously. And it's like, the fact that I've ignored him seems to really upset. He's nothing so much as a spurned would-be lover. It's like, I guess I can just take it as flattering that he has this bizarre sexual fixation on me. It's weird, but yeah. That's just the way it is. Yes, no, you're right. Yeah, Ayn Rand talked about the radical individual, but still took social security payments in later life. It's just like Ayn Rand was a shitty writer. What I particularly love is how the evangelical Republicans worship Ayn Rand, but Ayn Rand was incredibly vocal about believing God was proof of a weak mind, and she hated religion. It's hilarious, but it's the way it is with some people, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you follow Ayn Rand's non-fiction writing, as shitty as her writing is, but the people who take her fiction and say, I'm going to base a philosophy around fiction, they go, no, because it's just like John Galt. You know, that was fiction, right? It was bad fiction, really badly written, where the characters, they do monologues that are pages long. It's like, it's so unrealistic. It has so little relationship to the actual world. It's like, if you like fiction, fine, but the idea of basing your life's philosophy, political philosophy, around fiction, Jesus, base it on Harry Potter. At least the writing's slightly better. David, you like George Orwell? What? I'm not a huge. Obviously, I've read 1984. I think everyone reads that. I had to read that at school. I've read 1984 a couple times. Read Animal Farm. Animal Farm is good because while some people take that as solely a critique of communism and the way the animals form their society does seem to be a pretty direct critique of the Soviet excesses. I think it's just a good critique generally of people who seek power are basically not to be trusted. There's a central thing with the pigs taking power and then fucking everyone over. Hey, Gecko, how you doing? And there's that great line at the end. It's something like, because the pigs end up conspiring with the farmer, the humans at the end, at the expense of the other animals. And the pigs are in the farmer's house having a good old time, and like when the animals are looking at the window, and there's a line that's something like, you know, looked from pig to man and man to pig and couldn't see the difference. Bobby, does anyone else love the state of Queensland? We have a few Queenslanders in here. Oh, David, you've read, see, I haven't read Down and Out in Paris and London. That's based, that's non-fiction, isn't it? It's based on, he was working in, well, he was down and out in Paris and London, and he took a series of fairly meaningful jobs. However, you only love the Gold Coast in Queensland. I like the Sunshine Coast. I haven't been in Queensland for a while, and clearly there are, you know, there are lots of fantastic parts of Queensland. It depends what you like, of course. But just in Queensland, the Deep South, our Florida, it's tropical like Florida. I think it's the, yeah, and there's also the retiring thing. Florida has that big population of retirees that go down there, and Queensland has a big population of retirees from other states. Gecko, that's okay. Mr. Stark, you're here for the second half. I saw you say that, Luke. There's a furry convention in Queensland. Mitch, hello, Mitch, by the way. You've been to Queensland to visit a friend. I've got a brother and a sister who live in Brisbane. And so I've been there a few times. Oh, Charlie, whales in Hervey Bay. That sounds good. I tend to see, we don't get Queensland, man. That was the interesting thing. Like, it's, yeah, it's the running joke on the internet. Florida man, all the stories about Florida man does what. And it was interesting the first time I found out, someone did the research and they found out the reason you get all these Florida man stories is there's a law in Florida that publicizes every crime that's committed. So all this stuff, like the argument was Florida's not necessarily weirder than any other state, but because all these weird crimes get reported because of this law, you get the impression it's weirder. The same weird shit is happening everywhere but not being reported. Bobby Ricky, some people hate Queensland due to the elections. I actually am not on board with that. So, I'm not like, I'm an unashamed radical lefty and whatnot, very, you know, disappointed in the election result. I am not really on board with all the people, oh, Queensland, we should get rid of Queensland. And yes, there was that huge sweep of the Conservative vote in Queensland, but that wasn't enough. The government also had to do better than expected in New South Wales, better than expected everywhere, basically, and the government did do better than expected everywhere. So while, yes, there was that thing, I didn't see the final things, but I kind of got the impression that every seat in Queensland went the Conservative way. I don't know if that's true, but it bloody looked like it. And so I was never really on board with saying, oh, fuck Queensland. It's like, oh, you know, it's democracy, man. You can't say like, oh, it'd be much better if I could just stop those people from voting. It's like, well, you know what? As much as I disagree with the outcome, you have to convince people to vote for you. Joe, Jesus, that's a big question. What does Labor need to do to win in Queensland? That is a big question. What I thought was interesting is a lot of people said that swing towards conservatism in Queensland was they didn't like the idea of people saying the Adani coal mine shouldn't be there. And Labor were fucking piss weak on that. It's like, if that vote was because of the perception of being opposed to Adani, then Labor should stop being such fucking wusses and actually take a clear stand. Because that Adani mine makes no economic sense. It's, I mean, just the idea of mining coal is fucking ridiculous, but it makes no economic sense. It isn't going to generate any significant number of jobs for Queensland. You're hearing all these stories that they're saying like, oh, we're only going to do it if we get free access to water and free access to the rail and free this and free that and free the other. And yeah, Albie, you're right. Labor never expressed opposition to Adani. So if that Queensland vote was due to a perception, Labor should fucking show some backbone and take a decent stand and say, that's bullshit. The idea of continuing to exploit coal is bullshit, and it doesn't even make economics. It doesn't make economic sense. It's environmentally disastrous, but it's really fucking shit economics. And why Labor were incapable of standing up and articulating this is beyond me. And yeah, this is when someone asked earlier, what do we think of Albo? Albo has shown no sign of having any more spine. I am not holding out a lot of faith in the Labor Party at the moment. So, yeah. But yes, you are definitely asking the big questions there, Joe. What would Labor need to do winning Queensland? I don't know. I think Labor needs to actually fucking stand for something. I thought Shorten's avoiding standing for anything was complete bullshit. Well, that sounds interesting, Gecko. A book called The Subterranean, Australian fiction, an expedition goes underground and finds stuff. I like speculative fiction and fiction. I haven't been reading lately. I should just set aside time for it. I was saying earlier, I didn't want to spend hours on public transport, but spending time on public transport is a good way to get reading done as well. You obviously can't do that when you drive. Maybe I should get, what's those, one of those services where you get recordings of books, people reading books. Maybe I should do that in my car. Not actually reading, but you know, you're still getting the information. There's some of those subscriptions service. Audible, that's the one I was trying to think of, Mr. Fox. Luke, I do listen to podcasts sometimes, but you know, that's not actual books, at least not usually. Yeah, just listening to my favorite, the Blind Boy podcast yesterday. He's talking, he's being radical about having a native garden rather than having manicured grass and exotic flowers and whatnot. Everyone should have native gardens, which is a good idea. Justin, yes, I have found that being crammed on a tram with 200 people can limit your ability to read sometimes. Again, that's where something like Audible would come in handy. Maybe I should subscribe to Audible, or I think there are some other services as well. Get some books. I feel like I should, I'm 100% behind, should read more. And I tend to read fiction. Feel like I should read more non-fiction, get some good non-fiction. That's a good point, Miss Foxification. E-readers have a lot going for them. Although I do like books, I like books. And every now and then there'll be something on the internet, something like saying books are a hipster thing, or, oh, this supermodel in the book, making it fresh. I thought, if I am ever reading a book in public and someone calls me a hipster or a trendoid, or I'm just following a fashion by having a physical book, I'll fucking thump them. It's just like, No, don't go there. Do not go there. Yeah, Justin, I tend to listen to music or podcasts. I think maybe I should get one of the recording thingies of books, because you can get non-fiction and fiction, and there's a bunch that's free as well. Albie, you're not alone in thinking that you maybe absorb information better from a book than a screen. Yeah, it may be a generational thing. It absolutely may be. That's the thing. Ooh, you're right into it, Miss Foxification. Different fonts on your e-reader. Change the low light. Sans forgetica. Okay, I've never heard that. That means not forgetting. Please explain. That's a font, is it? Sans forgetica? Supposed to be, I'm guessing that's a font that's designed to be easier to absorb. Oh, there you go. That's smart. I worked that out just from the hints you gave. Sans forgetica is a font developed by RMIT to help you absorb information. That's, yeah, man, this is interesting, the research people do, that the different things that can help you absorb information. Fonts can change how you perceive things, the amount of light you have when you read by, the contrast. It's incredible. You wouldn't think so. It's all just words. But the font makes a huge difference to how you read something, which is super weird when you think about it. David, your favorite series is Dune. I read the first 3 Dune books, really got into flogging a dead horse with those after a while. I mean, I'm old school. I read The Lord of the Rings, God knows how many times, definitely in the double figures. Although it's quite a while since I've read Lord of the Rings, but when I was at school, I used to read it all the time. More recently, I mean, my favorite author, I love William Gibson stuff. I think he's got a new book coming out this year, which may be another in the series. He just started one. His last one came out a couple of years ago. Oh God, my brain just went blank on the name of it. But his stuff is great. Like he rose to fame with the cyberpunk stuff. It's Neuromancer series. Justin, would I do a live stream in public? Well, as Luke points out, I have. I haven't for a while. I think the last time I did was when Telstra had their free data day, and I was just running around on my phone. Oh God, I almost just had the vision of the name of the William Gibson book in my head. It was called The Something. It's The Something, and it was about, there were like 2 stories running parallel, and one is you realize, you think the second story is a computer simulation, but then it's the peripheral. That's what it's called, peripheral. It's very hard to explain, but it's like this computer simulation, but it's so intense that it could be real. It questions the whole nature of reality, which is always fun. Questioning the nature of reality is a fun thing to do. And it should happen more often. But yes, William Gibson's a good writer that I quite like. There's a whole bunch of series he's done over the year. Okay, you like Audible for long drives? Yes. Oh no, my Pepsi's finished. Not sponsored. I always feel compelled when I say what I'm drinking, point out I'm not sponsored. I don't. don't think I really am very sponsor friendly. Even if I had a huge audience, I wouldn't be sponsor friendly. As people started to wake up that PewDiePie, despite his enormous following, is not particularly sponsor friendly. And like, Logan Paul might have a huge audience, but he's arguably not very sponsor friendly because of the stupid shit he does. And me with my non-stop swearing and aggressiveness, even if I had a huge audience, would arguably not be particularly sponsor friendly. Luke, maybe I could make a cocktail. Maybe. I have my cocktail book here. I normally bring it out so I can talk about it. I could look something up. What should I make a cocktail out of? What do I got? Maybe I'll just do something with lemonade because I'm really lazy. Oh my God, I've got that bloody apple, and I've got apple brandy up there. Yeah, Gecko. Oh, actually, absinthe. Apple brandy, Cointreau, lemon juice. Okay, I know what I'm going to make. We have to come up with a name for it. So I am going to get some things together. So I'll be slightly, I've got to get I'm going to shake it. Cocktail shaker. Okay. Cocktail shaker. Glass. Okay, get my shit together. Cocktail shaker and glass. I already know what I'm going to make. It's going to be a variation on a sidecar. I'm going to use apple brandy rather than cognac. This is actually, I love this. This is Ostwasser. This is obviously European. Where's it? It's German. It's a German apple and pear brandy, basically. This apples and pears up the stairs. Rhyming slang. Cointreau, absinthe. I think we need to do a Cockney rhyming slang, something about the stairs, the apples and pears. Instead of stairway to heaven, be stairway to hell because I'm putting absinthe in it. Turn of phrase. Okay, I need a big block of ice because I like to have a big block of ice. Yeah, it's not very traditional necessarily. You get one of my big blocks of ice. All right, so I've declared that this is going to be stairway to Hades. And I think I've got lemon juice in here. And agave. I think I'll put some agave in it as well. Just a little bit of agave. Doesn't need that much. Okay, so. And. Thought I had a measuring thingy. Thought I had a measuring. There it is. Okay, that'll do. Short pass. Okay. Stairway to Frankston, Luke. You think that's it? Jesse, I am actually. There's no getting around that. But, I embrace the fat bastardness. Okay, so cocktail shaker. All right. So I'm going to put a bit of the agave syrup in. I think I notice a few people talking about what radio stations they listen to. If I have the radio on, I tend to listen to Triple J. I quite like their playlist. Most of their presenters aren't too annoying. I can't listen to commercial radio. It's just, I cannot stand it. I can't stand the music they play. I can't stand the advertising. I can't stand the way the presenters are basically shrieking at you the whole time. You're right, Charlie. The trolls aren't even trying. It's I have to admit, my favorite one is when they call me old. I always go, well, given the linear progression of time, being old is preferable to the alternative because you get two choices in this world: get old or be dead. Oh God, Albie, I'm completely with you about not being able to stand Eddie Maguire on so many levels. He's such an awful person. Okay, so we've got the apple and pears, the stairs. I'm gonna shake this. What's that song? Outcast, I think it was, with a shake it like a Polaroid picture, which, although that was a common thing people did with Polaroid pictures, has no effect on the development of the Polaroid image. Polaroid company confirmed they have no idea when people started shaking the Polaroid thing in the idea that it would make the picture appear quicker or dry quicker. And they said, no, that has no effect on it, so you don't need to do it. Yes, hey, yeah, Tendai. All right, so there's the apples and pears, the stairs. Red absinthe, we'll give it a veil of evil. There we go. Bit of blood red on there. I like that contrast. Stairway to Hades. This one's been christened by me. Yeah, Albie, no one knows who started shaking Polaroids, but it has no effect on the development of the Polaroid image. Well, that's got a bit of zing in it. That has got a bit of zing in it. I like it. That's okay. I can afford to do that. The boss isn't going to be at work at the moment. Tomorrow, he told me today, wasn't going to be in the office tomorrow. He's going to be in one of the regional offices. So if I have to spend a bit of time with my head down on my desk tomorrow, that's okay. Oh, Gecko, tickets to see Judas Priest from our local radio comedy show. Nice. See some senior citizens rock out. I listened to Judas Priest when I was in high school. So that is serious old age pensioners doing. There are so many Judas Priest songs I liked. I was so into them. Who was the other one? Iron Maiden, the British metal bands from there, and not the really silly hair metal bands, although they were a little bit silly. But yes, I got into Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, probably more so Iron Maiden, actually. Was that Miss Walker saying, wouldn't the simulated increase in surface area, increasing airflow, develop it faster? Airflow had nothing to do with the development of the image. It was just a chemical reaction, and blowing on it, shaking it didn't happen. Polaroid confirmed it. So yeah. So oh, that's got a real zing. I like that. I like that. Nice, Justin. People winning money over there. See, that's the thing. Yeah, one thing the commercial stations do have is competitions. I got low-key competition from Double J, which is Triple J's digital station, which I think is more aimed at people my age, because back in my youth it was Double J, not Triple J, because it was an AM station, not an FM station. But they had a competition tied in with the Dark Mofo art festival in Tasmania. One of my favorite writers, Warren Ellis, is appearing in conversation with Warren Ellis. And I got free tickets to it, but I'm not able to go because I actually looked into it. I thought, oh, Mrs. Angry and I could do a weekend in Tasmania. But because the art festival being on, flights down there are quite expensive. And it would have cost, for a weekend in Tasmania, it would have cost thousands of dollars. And it's like, oh, it's not quite worth it. So didn't do it. Although I would like to go to Tassie again. I haven't been there for a while. But oh, nice, Hari, playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I have not played Mario Kart. I still have a Switch. I could get it, and Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64, love it to death. Played it so much. So I may well get Mario Kart for this. Actually, I have this funny feeling my offspring may have bought Mario Kart for a party. I'm not sure though. Charlie, you love Rob Halford and his leather daddy outfits. Yes, he was the original leather daddy. Yes, that's it. David, yeah, it's like when we were young, Polaroid was cool because you got the instant photo. But every now and then the instant cameras make a comeback. They're very cutesy these days. They tend to be aimed at girls, and the cameras that take them are very cutesy, and they do really little one. And yeah, they've not become big again, but different sorts of instant cameras do seem to pop up. Ooh, Tendai with the hot take. Sega All-Stars Racing better than Mario Kart. More, geez, that's gonna friggin' start some fights. Gecko, all the old people at the show. Yeah, there would be, dude. There would be. That was like when in the 80s, in my youth, we used to disparage like all these old 60s bands who were doing tours to prop up their fucking pension in their old age. Now all my favorite bands from the 80s are doing it, and I can't bring myself to go and see them. Bands like The Cure and stuff, who I love, who apparently put on a really good show. But it's like, no, man, in the 80s, I just non-stop hung shit on acts from the 60s who did this. So I cannot bring myself to go and see the bands I used to like who are all in their 60s now, just trotting it out on stage. I just can't bring myself to do it. So, and maybe I'm hurting myself for that. I don't know. But also, I'm old and already half deaf, so I probably don't need to go to any more loud live shows. Did too much of that in my youth, which is why I'm half deaf now. Going to loud shows and not having ear protection is not a good idea. But I did it. I did it a couple of times. Getting right up near speaker stacks that were just blasting. But hey, that's the sort of thing you do when you're a young person. That's you just go out and do loud. Now I'm old and grumpy and hate loud places. If I'm ever in a place like a cafe or a bar and they're playing music really loud, I just complain. I'm like typical grumpy old person. I just complain. So I just have to own it, really. I just have to own that I'm a grumpy old person. It is the reality of the situation. Oh, Jesus, Luke. People who play music through the speaker on their phone on public transport. Fucking ice moon prison. That's just that we should reintroduce the stocks in the public square where people who have transgressed are put in wooden stocks and we can throw rotten fruit and vegetables at them. And one of the offenses that gets you in the stocks should be playing music loudly through the speakers on a fucking phone on public transport. That shit is rude as fuck. It does my head in that people do that shit. Oh, yes, you're right, Justin. Younger generations than me go deaf from headphones. So I always want to warn people, like when I'm on a thing and I can hear someone's headphones, I want to say to them, your headphones are way too loud because I can hear them. And I'm not complaining because I can hear them. I'm just trying to tell you, you are doing permanent, irreversible damage to your hearing. And I've gone through that. I have damage to my hearing. So like, I have tinnitus. Like when people want to talk about tinnitus, some people insist on calling. What tinnitus normally sounds, it's like microphone feedback. It's a high-pitched sort of noise, and I can ignore it most of the time, but sometimes it's bad, like particularly when I'm going to sleep sometimes, and I don't know what makes it worse on sometimes nights, but there are times when I can't sleep because the noise in my ears are so loud. It's like this howling, screaming wind in my head. It's incredibly unpleasant. And to the best of my knowledge, there's no treatment for it. Environmental Coffee House, nice of you to drop in again, and thank you for appreciating it. Glad to hear. Wow, Jesus, I saw we got into the milkshakes for the fash. Miss Fox occasion throwing in a rotten kale milkshake with egg on top. I am definitely next fucking fash thing in Melbourne. I'm going along with milkshake. I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to throw the milkshake. I'm just going to stand there with a milkshake, sipping it and making eye contact with the fash and just looking at them and making them. I want to see how much they freak out at the concept that I might throw the milkshake at them. I just want to play mind games. I'm 100% on board with humiliating the fash by throwing milkshakes at them. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to play mind games with them. Maybe sort of try and give off of a vibe. I'm probably going to throw this milkshake at you and just see how much they freak out without me doing anything. Miss Foxcation. Oh, I've had surgery about my ears, which is partly why I have problems. I had this infection when I was a kid in my inner ear that fucked up my right ear in particular. And in my teen years, I had 2 major surgeries on the ear. So that's this ear, without exaggerating, only hears half as well as this ear. And overall, I have some diminished hearing because of exposing myself to loud noise. But this one's fucked up because of the surgery they did on it. This ear only hears half as well as this ear. So yeah, I don't think there's. I'd be interested if anyone's seen any suggestions, but tinnitus is a sign of permanent damage. To the best of my knowledge, there's no effective treatment for it. When your caffeine level drops, play the right tone loud for a while, turn it off. You don't hear. Oh, as David pointed out, some background noise count. Like some people with tinnitus will have a fan on, just some white noise. Like when I'm at work, I'll have my earphones in the whole time with music playing at quite low volume, because having something going the whole time is a distraction. Yeah, some people sleep with a fan because having the white noise of a fan distracts from the tinnitus. But it usually isn't that. Like I'm aware of it now. It's a slight pressure on my head. And if I think about it, it is very slightly like microphone feedback, just a high-pitched whine. But yeah, occasionally when I've tried to go to sleep, and I don't know what makes it worse, but sometimes it's much worse, and it's loud. It's loud. It's like the way I usually describe it's like a screaming, howling wind. Like the worst stormy, windy night you can imagine is happening in my fucking head. So that's fun, kids. Don't damage your hearing because it fucks you up when you get old. I was having such a funny conversation with Mrs. Angry earlier about us being old, suddenly realizing, like we're doing the joke about Judas Priest, them being in their 60s. Either your contemporaries or people who you were aware of when you were younger who are a bit older than you, who are now really fucking old, and then you go, oh God, that means I'm really old. Like I saw a tweet the other day from Professor Brian Cox, who's a bit of a fucking legend. Sean Pertwee, John Pertwee's son, Sean Pertwee, who's a fine actor in his own right, son of John Pertwee, who's the third Doctor Who, who's a great Doctor Who. It was his birthday. He's been dead for a while, but it would have been his birthday. And Sean Pertwee posted on Twitter a link to stuff with some very interesting photos of John Pertwee across his career that people might not have seen. And it was cool. And Professor Brian Cox retweeted it with the comment, "I'm older now than Sean Pertwee was when he started Doctor Who." And I'm like, no, Brian, that isn't right, Brian, because you're a contemporary of mine. And if you're old, that means I'm old. So, Brian, please don't draw my attention to the fact that you're feeling a bit old, because when John Pertwee was Doctor Who, I was 10. Actually, no, I watched it when I was 10. He became Doctor Who long before I was 10, but I only remember watching it on the repeats on the ABC when I was 10. So it's like, and he was old then. So it's like, no, Brian, please don't say that you're old, because you're a contemporary of mine, and if you go around saying you're old, then it's very hard for me to avoid the fact I'm old. Albie, you're midlife crisis when you're 19. That's the millennial joke. I don't know how to sort my life out now because I assumed I'd be dead before now. And there are various memes going around that are to the things like, so what's your retirement plan? Well, I'm just banking on things continuing the way they are and society collapsing and money being meaningless. So why the fuck should I save anything? Because it's all going to hell in a handbasket. Jewel, out of nowhere, Nancy Pelosi, thoughts, weak as piss, honestly. It's kind of funny that she seems to be able to fuck Trump up and get into Trump's head, but I am not a fan of the old guard in the American Democratic Party. And I would say who I'm talking about there is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. I think they're weak as piss. I think the American Democrats, Australian Labor Party, UK Labor Party, I think leftists just need to be a bit more fucking hardcore. Yes, Tendai, retirement plan, build Mad Max's Interceptor. Rewatch Mad Max Fury Road as an instructional video for life in the future. Oh my God. I A, love that movie, and B, am depressed when I think about that probably is a bit more accurate. Oh, yeah, Miss Foxification, I reckon you hit the nail on the head there. You realize you're old when you're older than your parents were when they had you. Yes. In fact, I think I might be older than my dad was when he died. I would have to ask someone in my family that. So I think he was 50-something. Oh, yes. What a day. What a lovely day. Now, witness. Now I want to watch Mad Max Fury Road again. That is fucking great movie. Probably my favorite movie from the last 5 or 10 years. Such a good, so beautifully constructed. Like George Miller did so many callbacks to the old Mad Max films and also did something completely new and amazing and incredible. Like when you read the history of that movie, Fury Road, it was in development hell for a decade. It should never have been made. If it got made, it should have been a disaster. It should have been chaotic mess. And it's absolutely fucking amazing. It is such a good film. Oh my God, it's such a good film. David, your dad died when he was 54 and you're 53. Yeah, well, see, my oldest sister died before she was 50. She died at 49. And she was like 10 years older than me. So as I approached that age, I got super fucking paranoid. I got super fucking paranoid that I wouldn't make it to 50. And I did, which is glorious. But yeah, when things like that, whether it's a parent or a sibling dying comparatively young, as you approach that age, it can fucking do your head in. It really can. Yes, misfoxication. Which is a better predictor of our future, Mad Max or Idiocracy? Yeah. Idiocracy is fun, but when people really want to go, it's literally, no, it's not. It's a comedy. It exaggerated a few things we see now, and it's very funny, and it is very clever, and I do like the movie Idiocracy. But new, amazing, clever, smart things keep being done every day. Like the central thing about Idiocracy is smart things stopped happening and everyone got dumber. No, people generally are getting smarter. We definitely see stupid things, and it's easy things. But yeah, the smart things happen every day. But Idiocracy is great. Idiocracy is fun, and I think it raises some important issues, and it has a lot of fun, just poking at certain aspects of our society today. But yeah, I do get a bit tired with people say, "Oh, that's definitely," no, actually, people are smarter now than ever, and smart stuff keeps happening every day. Justin, you raise a good point. If your parents die young, you get health checks. Cancer, like my cancer killed my dad, killed my older sister, my uncle. My aunt didn't die; she got a double mastectomy. Who else in my family? Oh yeah, actually, my mum eventually had leukemia as well. So it's like a lot of cancer. I think a statistically significant spike of cancer in my family, which is really disconcerting. So yes, I try not to think about it too much, or I get really paranoid. Yes. Oh, Gecko, Princess Bride is possibly my all-time favorite film. I love it. My two all-time favorites are definitely Withnell and I and Princess Bride. And also, The Godfather is a very beautifully constructed film. And Gecko, you're a fan of Terminator 2. I like Terminator 2, but not one of my favorites. Yeah, Jewel. Oh my God, The Princess Bride is just so quotable. And I've probably told this story before, but one of the reasons, a beautiful moment I had with The Princess Bride, I was out at work at lunch from work one day. And there was like a video shop, and they had a TV in the window that was playing movies, and they were playing The Princess Bride, and it was just getting to the bit where the Spaniard fought the six-fingered man. You know, my name's Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepared to die. And I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to watch this play out. And then some dude next to me stopped and watched too, and he'd never seen it before. Because what happens, he's been after this guy who killed his father for 20 years. And he just keeps saying this line, "Hello, my name's Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepared to die." And he ends up getting this guy completely at his mercy. He beats him. He humiliates him. He's holding him at sword point. And he says, "Offer me riches." And he goes, "Yes, I'll give you more riches than you can imagine." He goes, "Offer me whatever I want." And the guy says, "Yes, I'll give you whatever I want." And he has him completely at his mercy and just runs him through and says, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch." And the idea of a hero character murdering someone who he has completely at his mercy happens so rarely in films. And because I'd already seen this so many times, I'm just watching it again. And he goes, and this guy next to me is watching it. It's so exciting, swashbuckling, and he's got holding him at sword point, completely at his mercy. "Offer me whatever I want." And he says, "Yes, anything," and just runs him through. And this guy flinched when he ran him through. The guy went, "Oh my God." It was so unexpected for a hero character to run a bad guy through when he's got him completely at his mercy. It's just like, no, because he's fucked. This guy killed my father. Fuck him. He robbed me of my life. Fuck this guy. I'm killing him. Absolutely beautiful. Yes. Jewel, I reckon you're right. Maybe rewatch The Princess Bride this weekend. Maybe I should watch my favorites. Princess Bride, With Noel and I, a recent favorite like Mad Max Fury Road, and even the new Star Wars movies, because I fucking love the new Star Wars movies. Very good. Oh yeah, I see we're talking about the new Terminator, Dark Fate. Is it right? I thought they were saying the movie Terminator Dark Fate was going to pretend that no movie after Terminator 2 existed. Like, they've just decided everything after Terminator 2 is not canon, and they're going to, it's basically just a sequel to Terminator 2. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I read. Yeah, Linda Hamilton's back, which is great. Gecko, no, I never read the Princess Bride book, and William Goldman is one of my favorite writers. So I should read the Princess Bride book at some point. William Goldman's a great writer. A lot of people liked various of the Terminator sequel movies. I probably didn't hate any of the Terminator sequel movies. Not super into them, but didn't hate them. But yeah. There's what Foxification is saying. They're saying the Winding Road map's complicated. Terminator, yeah, Dark Fate picks up after Terminator 2. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Jewel, no, I never actually had any Mueller take. That was just a funny name I came up with a thread. We can do that now because we haven't mentioned that at all, which is the hilarity. For those who missed it, the investigator Robert Mueller made a speech which basically said, stop saying I exonerated Trump, because I absolutely categorically did not. And I'm just saying that there's this rule that a sitting president can't be indicted by the Justice Department. That's why we didn't indict him, because there's this rule that says we can't. But now apparently his speech has got the Democrats going hardcore for impeachment, because Mueller made it as clear as possible. There is overwhelming evidence that that Congress should investigate and basically start impeachment proceedings against Trump. Fuck, man, the next couple of weeks could be really interesting. And Justin, I do not disagree with you about the core Democratic Party being weak as piss. While I see a lot of flaws in Bernie Sanders, I look at it and go, you know what? I'd be kind of okay with him getting the nomination for the next presidential elections, because I just want to see what happens with a populist lefty versus a populist ultra-right winger. I'd just be very interested to see what happens, because the world's got so fucking weird. I stopped trying to predict anything because the world's just too fucking weird, basically. And I think anyone who thinks they can predict things is full of shit, because the world's too unpredictable right now. So yeah, Justin, yeah, he definitely could go. Look, if the Democratic nomination doesn't go to Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, I don't give a shit. The rest of them I don't give a shit about. The rest of them are so severely flawed that it's like, oh, who fucking cares? I think like one of the bearing trolls who came in trying to upset me by saying, oh my God, when Trump wins in 2020. I think the most likely outcome of the 2020 US presidential elections is Trump gets re-elected. I think that's the most likely outcome. The Democrats have to do something pretty fucking amazing to inspire enough people to vote against Trump. And they've done fuck all up to this point, as far as I'm concerned. So, well, Ms. Foxication, you're right that the most senior people in the Democratic Party seem to think it's too damaging to do impeachment thing. But Mueller's statement in the last, what was it, 24, 48 hours has made a lot more high-profile Democrats say impeachment time, including more of the people who've put themselves up for nomination for the president saying it directly. So, yeah, I mean, trolls can't upset me by going, oh, it'll be great when Trump gets re-elected, because I actually think that's the most likely outcome. The Democrats are going to have to turn things around completely to beat Trump in an election. And I honestly don't see a huge amount of evidence that they're going to do that. Who fucking knows? Like I said, it's basically when Trump got elected, I kind of gave up. So, okay, nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense anymore. So when I try and look at, well, what's happening? Let's weigh up the evidence. Let's weigh up everything that's happening and try to come to an intelligent estimate of what, and it doesn't work. Trump makes no sense. Brexit makes no sense. Morrison getting re-elected makes no sense. So fuck it, man. Nothing makes sense. You can, I don't even know anymore. I just do not know, quite honestly. Just like, fuck it, man. What the fuck? That's a fun one, Gecko. Biden run for president with Obama as his VP. That's funny. I like that. That's funny. Justin, while I agree with you that Trump has failed at everything in his life and people should see that, the available evidence is no, people won't see it. His base don't fucking care. His base do not care that he's a loser, that he's a liar, that he's a manipulator, that he's a scammer, that he's a fucking criminal. They just don't care. Seriously, where I'm coming from, yeah. I don't know, the world's just gotten so weird that I don't know what's happening. Dr. Obama, it's too late. You can join for 10 minutes, my friend. Because that's about how long I'm here for, another 10 minutes. It's never too late to just come in and say hi. It is good to see you. Joey's base are in. Look, they're fucking mental. And that's the thing. Trump has said directly if something happens to him, his base will go up. Now, I honestly don't know what would happen if he goes. There are a number of ways Trump could go. And the fact is, he's old, incredibly out of shape, and under a lot of stress. He could drop dead without warning. And his base would assume he'd been murdered. And they might do something extreme. They might do, who knows? He could get impeached and his base might get super upset, or they might do no. He could lose the next election and his base might get upset. I don't know. Nothing makes sense anymore. Oh, yeah, Dr. Obama, I heard someone else told me that Bearing had uploaded. Also, it's out of context clips of my election. Well, that should be fun because I actually had I had a lot of fun on election night. But, I mean, again, I feel like I was quite honest on election night. Well, I expected a really convincing win by Labor, and it didn't happen. But I think I also accepted that early on. But yeah, if he wants to attack me, he'd have to do stuff out of context. But again, I love, because that was a 3-hour live stream. This is just such an example of how sad this fuckwit is and how obsessed with me he is. If he wanted to put together out of context clips from my election night live stream, he would have to have watched 3 hours of me. How funny is that? Okay, it's clips of me saying the country's horrible and I'm attacking Libs. Yeah, well, I did that. That's definitely right. Yeah, Jewel, I had fun on election. It kind of got depressing towards the end when the result was obvious. But oh God, that's funny, Albie. I love that idea. Because you're right, literally nobody expected the Liberal Party to win, including the Liberal Party. They had to go to work and put back all the stationery they stole. Oh, that's really funny. I love that. I haven't heard anyone say that. That's really good. I like that. I will admit, I have seen some other Australian lefty channels honestly copping out a bit and making videos where they kind of suggest they're not that upset by the election result. That's a bit of a cop-out because I'm not happy. I was fucking, I didn't even drink as much as I was going to, because when it became obvious that the Liberals basically had probably won it, I thought, I don't have to stop drinking because that would just be too depressing. I'll just get drunk when something bad's happened. I'll just be really fucking super depressed. So I didn't even drink that much. Sweet Tulip, you like my braces? Thank you. See, this is what fat guys do. Braces to hold up their pants because belts are too uncomfortable. If I lose some weight, maybe I'll go more for a belt. Thanks for hanging out, Sarah. Yeah, I'm probably hanging out for another 10 minutes and going to bed. But yeah, I have to admit, when I see lefty types trying to equivocate and basically say they weren't that upset by the LNP winning re-election, that's a bit of a cop-out. I try to be honest. I probably fall short of my own standards from time to time. I hate hypocrisy. I try not to be a hypocrite. And by the way, when my trolls say, "You're a hypocrite, you say you don't like censorship, but you're against free speech," it's like, no, I'm 100% into not giving fascists a fucking platform. This Fox again, that sums me up too. I would like to see Australia be better. I would like, and this is a failing in the Labor Party of not taking a moral stand. For all her various flaws, I thought Gillard was fairly good at taking a moral stand. Watching from Berlin, a little disappointed in the result. I was more than a little disappointed, my friend. Will I try and pronounce your username? Sajuk Thanatoshka, watching from Berlin. I noticed a lot of the European Parliament votes weren't as bad as people, like there was a feeling in the lead up to the European Parliament votes that extreme right-wingers would make significant gains, and they didn't do. It was about 50-50 with right-wing and left-wing parties. Thank you for that. It's Sajuk Thanatoska. Sajuk Thanastoka. Thank you for that. Sweet Tulip, you like Gillard for being a ranger. I like Gillard for being. I love that Gillard was shacked up with her dude. She wasn't married. Like moved into the lodge with her dude. They were just like shacked up. She's not even married. Yes, I saw, Justin, the Lib Dems did quite well in the UK. I saw there was a split between, you see, like the Tories and Brexit Party got about half the votes, and then a combination of Labour, Greens, Lib Dems got about half the votes as well. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Tendai, the stuff with UKIP being completely wiped out was good, and Yaxley Lennon failing completely was good. Although it was interesting, is clearly Nigel Farage had more power than some people were giving him credit for, because when good old fucking sad fuck of arse hats went to join UKIP, Nige said, no, that guy's a piece of shit, I'm not having anything to do, and he started his new party, the Brexit Party, and UKIP got absolutely zero out of it, and basically everything in the previous election that had gone to UKIP went to Farage's Brexit Party. So I think that shows Brexit had more power. Sorry, Farage has more power than some people were giving him credit for. But it was particularly funny to see UKIP go down in a screaming heap and fucking Yaxley Lennon get nothing, which is great, because they were such cunts during the election campaign. And I did notice sad fuck of arse hats again copping out, saying, oh, I win like I expect. I never expected to win. Bullshit, you fucking liar. You were big noting yourself and talking about winning, and you fucking, yeah, Justin, basically all UKIP votes went to the Brexit Party, close to all of them. So that was interesting. Like I said, that points to Farage having more influence than some people had given him credit for. But it did seem to be split about 50-50, like Tories, Brexit, half, and then Labour, Lib Dem, and Greens. I don't know. Maybe Labour can turn it around. I don't know. Yes, I did see that in the German elections, some of the basically neo-Nazi groups getting a disturbing amount of support. And oh my God, and that instruction to Jewish people in some parts of Germany saying, like, don't wear stuff that identifies you as Jewish, because there's been a disturbing rise in neo-Nazi groups, and you're not safe. Like, if men wearing the skull cap, anyone wearing the more traditional garb could be targeted. That's really scary, seeing shit like that. Jules, my honest, I really try to be honest. I'm sure I fail in my own standards from time to time. No one's perfect, and shock horror, I'm not perfect. But oh my God, the way these sad fucking trolls have a go at me, making no sense at all. I just laugh. Gecko getting on to 7 a.m. going to go to bed. Oh, dude, do I have to listen to the dirty music? No, I have saved the link you've given me. I meant to do it before tonight because I knew you were going to ask me tonight, but I have saved the link you sent me, so I've got to do it. Yeah. You weren't the only one. I got sent a couple links that I promised to watch, listen to, and I haven't yet. Sweet Tulip. Oh, man, the cocktails are my favorite. There are a couple of friends that said I should start a cocktail Instagram thing, and I will, because I have opinions about cocktails as well. I'm going to tell people how to build up an alcohol collection like that. That takes either to build up an alcohol collection like this. You're either really rich, or you take like that took way over it. That took like 2 years to build that up. These are and I thought I'm going to make one where the basics, like, okay, you want to be a cocktail maker. Step one, the absolute basics you need to have. The basics, you start with gin, vodka, and whiskey. Whatever whiskey you like, whether it's Scotch or bourbon or Canadian whiskey or rye or Irish. So those are the three absolute basics. You can make a few drinks if you have gin, vodka, and whiskey. And the next tier is things like tequila, rum, and maybe brandy. And then that really broadens what you can do. And the next tier after that would be pretty things like Cointreau and a few other. So I was thinking, like, here's the tiers of things. The absolute minimum you need is that. The second tier is this. The third tier is this. And after the third tier, you're getting into specialty stuff. And this is where I get things, like absinthe and the various liqueurs. You do different things. All right, Sweet Tulip, I'll start another video. A drinks occasion. I need to get sponsored by someone to do drinks. Well, I'll go with Sajuk. I'll abbreviate your username. One of the things I like about the internet is I tend to have a lot of friends in very different. Obviously, a huge chunk of my viewers are Australian. It tends to be dominated by English-speaking countries, so the UK and America, but different parts of Europe and even the Middle East and whatnot. I get viewers, and I love getting the view of people in these countries, people who are living an experience that I can't experience. And they can say, well, where I am on the ground, I have a lot of internet friends who are in Germany and Portugal and that part of Europe. I had a weird spike in viewers in Scandinavia at one point, and I know I've got a few people who are regularly in the chat who are in former Soviet bloc countries like former Yugoslavia, former Czechoslovakia. So I love getting people in who can share things with me and say, this is what's happening in my part of the world and whatnot. And I, when I do these live streams, I get the insomniacs like Gecko saying, well, it's 7 a.m. I'm going to go to bed. It's 10 p.m. I'm going to bed. You're in Cedric. You're in a multicultural area called Mobit. Mixed culture, German crime. Cool, 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 cool. So see, this is what I think. Like the best thing about the internet is also the worst thing. I like being able to interact with good people that I normally wouldn't. But also, of course, obviously, people with fruitcake fringe beliefs will find other people with fruitcake fringe beliefs. Why did I say reliefs? Beliefs. The cocktail was not that strong. Who's that? Is that Mim? Oh yeah, Mimsy's. You're going to say goodbye to everyone. Okay, Mimsy, you're going to come up here and say good. Come up here and say goodbye because I'm going to go to bed. Yeah, do it. She made some. Yeah, sharpen your claws. She's got a sharp. There's a scratching post down there. Cedric, you can most definitely post a link. I don't know if it'll. Mimsy, come up and say goodbye. There we go. That's nice. Mimsy coming in just in time to say goodbye. Cedric, if you want to send me the link, you can find me on the socials, Twitter and Facebook, just by searching AngryAussie. But Mimsy's come to say good night, and I'm going to say good night because it's that part of the night. It's very cute you coming in to say goodbye to everyone, Mimsy. Perfect timing. Made all that noise coming in the door just as I'm about to go. Oh my God, she lost attention. But she sleeps next to me. So I try not to kick her off the bed because she snuggles up to me at night. Don't you? Don't you? Yes, you do. But she's very much into hogging. I won't let you show. Man, I'd be keen. If you want to send me links to info on Facebook or Twitter, you'll find me by searching AngryAussie. Look after yourselves, one and all. Mimsy and I are going to say good night. Yeah, do a thumbs up to stick it to troll. Apparently, looks like I'm going to get another surge of trolls, which is real hoot. Such a laugh. Oh well. Look after yourselves, one and all. I think it was Luke suggested if AZ comes over on the weekend, I might do a live stream on the weekend with AZ, or I might do a pre-record. We'll see. We have some plans. We have some projects, and we might do that. So I hope to catch up with you again soon. We'll see how disciplined I can be with getting a TFU out because I didn't do a Wanker Fat Wednesday. So I'll try and do a TFU tomorrow to look at what happened during the week. Look after yourselves, one and all. You're all fabulous. Love you all. Hopefully see you again soon. And I will say bye for now.